All right, monsters of the Midway, grab your navy and orange caps, because what I'm dropping on you today is a bombshell that's going to shake Hollis Hall to its core and redefine the future of the NFC. TJ Watt to the Chicago Bears? Yeah, you heard that right. This ain't no locker room gossip. This is a real possibility that could turn our defense into the most feared in the league. And in a minute, I'm going to break down why Ryan Poles absolutely has to make this move, and why not doing it would be a historic blunder. But that ain't all, because after that, we're heading straight to Hollis Hall, where Ben Johnson, our head coach, gave us a taste of the intensity and military-like focus brewing in the team. Some reporter had the nerve to interrupt him mid-press conference, and Johnson's reaction is pure gold, a lesson in discipline that echoes the culture we're building. And I'm going to tell you why this small incident is a huge sign that this team is Super Bowl bound. And to cap it all off, we're finally putting an end to the Josh Sweat saga. The trade rumors are officially dead, and I'm going to explain why and what that means for our relentless hunt for an elite pass rusher to complement Montez Sweat and take our defense to the next level. And I promise you, the alternative Poles has in mind is going to blow your mind. All that and more right now. Bear down. Fam, I need you to stop everything you're doing. Stop scrolling, stop breathing if necessary, and listen closely. Because the news circulating right now, if it materializes, could be the most seismic, the most transcendental move in recent Chicago Bears history. We're talking about TJ Watt. Yes, that TJ Watt. The Defensive Player of the Year, the terror of quarterbacks, the future Hall of Famer, the guy who wins games by himself. Could he be on the trade market? And most importantly, could Ryan Poles, our Ryan Poles, bring him to the Windy City? This isn't just a Twitter rumor, bro. This comes from Jeremy Fowler, a credible ESPN insider. And his analysis is deep, tactically sound. It makes a lot of sense from a roster management perspective. The Pittsburgh Steelers just extended edge rusher Nick Herbig on a 4-year, $100 million deal. Now, the Steelers are a franchise with a legendary defensive tradition known for their ability to develop pass rushers. But even for them, having 3 massive contracts allocated to a single position is a brutal financial burden, almost unsustainable in the long run. Think about it. They already have Watt, Alex Highsmith, and now Herbig, all on significant contracts that consume a huge portion of the salary cap. Fowler points out that Watt, for all his greatness, turns 32 in October and has guaranteed salaries of $32 million in both 2026 and 2027. He's a legacy player, an icon in Pittsburgh, a guy who has defined an era for that franchise. But at some point, the Steelers' front office will have to make a cold, calculated decision, prioritizing long-term roster sustainability. And if Watt, at his age, and with those guaranteed salaries, has the highest trade value, the conversation becomes very, very real. It's a matter of resource optimization, not disrespect to the player. Now imagine this, fam. TJ Watt in navy and orange, alongside Montez Sweat. The mere thought gives me goosebumps, sends shivers down my spine, makes me want to run to Hollis Hall and demand this happens. That would be, without a doubt, the most dominant, most terrifying, most unstoppable edge-rushing duo in the entire NFL. No quarterback in the league would be able to sleep soundly the week before facing us. The constant pressure, the sacks that would pile up, the forced fumbles that would turn the tide of games, the interceptions they would generate by forcing quarterbacks to throw hurried passes. Our defense, which is already a solid and ascending unit, would transform into an unstoppable war machine, a nightmare for any offense. It would be the kind of move that would not only put us in the Super Bowl conversation, but make us undisputed favorites. But let's be realistic, bro. A trade for Watt would be incredibly complex. The elephant in the room is cap space. We barely have $11 million right now. Watt's $32 million guaranteed salaries for the next 2 years are a gigantic hurdle. It's not just about fitting him into the current salary cap, it's about restructuring half the roster, making financial acrobatics that few GMs would dare to attempt. We'd be talking about 3 pass rushers on huge contracts. Montez Sweat, Dayo Odeyingbo, and now Watt. That's a massive investment in a single position. This is where Ryan Poles' magic comes into play. The man has proven to be a master at cap management, a financial strategist who isn't afraid to make tough decisions. Could he do the impossible? It could mean releasing someone like Dayo Odeyingbo, whose contract is considerable and who, while he's been a good player for us, is not TJ Watt. The decision to cut or trade him to make space for Watt would be painful, yes, but tactically, almost a no-brainer if the opportunity arises. We could also see contract restructures for key players, defer money, convert salaries into signing bonuses. Poles isn't sentimental. He's a GM who maximizes asset value and always has an eye on the future. The draft capital investment would also be massive. We're talking about at least a first-round pick and probably more, perhaps an additional second or third-round pick. Would Poles be willing to sacrifice a high pick for a 32-year-old player, no matter how good he is? That's the question that defines his philosophy and his vision for the franchise. On one hand, Poles has built through the draft, developing young, sustainable talent, a strategy that has proven successful. On the other hand, the championship window with Caleb Williams is just beginning, and sometimes, to win a Super Bowl, you need to make a bold, all-in move, a game-changing decision that alters the course of history. A player like TJ Watt could be the missing piece to take us from contenders to champions. The synergy he would create with Montez Sweat, the pressure he would take off the secondary, the energy he would inject into the defense, it's incalculable. He's the kind of player who elevates the level of the entire defensive unit. My personal opinion, bro, is that if this opportunity arises, Ryan Poles has to seriously consider it, with all the audacity that characterizes him. The chance to have a future Hall of Famer on your defense doesn't come around every day, much less a player who is still producing at an elite level. Yes, it's a financial and draft capital risk, but the potential impact on the field and on team morale would be immense. It would be a statement of intent to the entire league. The Chicago Bears are serious, and we're not going to miss any opportunity to bring a Lombardi to the Windy City. It's not just a move for the present, it's a move that would solidify our defense for years to come, even if Watt only plays 3 or 4 more seasons at this level. His presence would elevate the play of everyone around him, he would be an invaluable mentor for young pass rushers, and he would set a standard of excellence. So stay tuned, fam. Because if this rumor becomes reality, the NFL won't be the same, and the Bears, with TJ Watt, would be a force to be reckoned with, a dynasty in the making. With Ben Johnson, Chicago Bears OTA's press conference Angry 2026. Now, let's shift gears, but not intensity, because this next story takes us directly to Hollis Hall and shows us the kind of leadership, the kind of focus, the kind of no-nonsense mentality we have in Ben Johnson. You know how much I love this guy. He's a brilliant strategist, but he does not mess around, especially when it comes to concentration and professionalism. This is a microcosm of the culture he's building. So, the Bears are in the second half of their organized team activities, OTAs, this week. Coach Johnson is up at the podium, giving his usual insightful, detailed answers to the media. Everything's going smoothly, typical OTA press conference where coaches are usually a bit more relaxed but still professional, trying to give some information without revealing too much. And then it happened. A phone belonging to one of the reporters starts ringing. Not a discreet buzz, not a silent vibrate. A ringtone, right there in the middle of Johnson answering a key question about Caleb Williams' progression or the integration of a new offensive scheme. Bro, you know the cardinal rule of press conferences, right? Silence your phone. It's the first rule of sports journalism, the most basic, the most fundamental. It's a matter of respect, of professionalism, and of not being that guy who ruins the moment for everyone. It's disrespectful to everyone's time, and more importantly, to the coach's focus, who is trying to communicate an important message. Johnson, being Johnson, was not having it. According to Mike Moratis, who reported on this, Johnson lost his cool. It wasn't an uncontrolled outburst of anger. He didn't throw the microphone or yell. It was a firm, direct reprimand with undeniable authority. He stopped mid-sentence with a gaze that could melt steel and said, in a voice that left no room for doubt, "Someone grab their phone so I don't get interrupted again." The way he said it, the dramatic pause, the piercing stare, that's leadership, fam. That's a coach who demands excellence in every aspect, even in the press room. Moratis said Johnson sounded and looked angry. And honestly, I don't blame him one bit. You're trying to convey important information. You're focused on the message you want to give to the media and, by extension, to the fan base. And a reporter's phone starts blaring. That's simply disrespectful to the coach, to the other reporters who are paying attention, and to the process in general. It's an unnecessary interruption that breaks the flow and seriousness of the moment. Whoever it was, they should be running laps and doing push-ups right now. That's a rookie mistake, man. And in the NFL world, where discipline, attention to detail, and focus are paramount, it's unacceptable. It's the kind of small thing that, if allowed, can erode culture. This incident, though small and seemingly trivial, is incredibly revealing about Ben Johnson's mindset and the culture he's building at Hollis Hall. He's not just a coach who cares about plays and formations. He's a leader who demands a level of professionalism and concentration from everyone around him, from his players on the field to the media in the press room. He doesn't tolerate distractions or a lack of respect for others' time and effort. This is the mindset he's instilling. An everything counts mentality, where every detail matters and every moment of focus is sacred. It's the mindset of a team that's building a winning culture, where discipline is non-negotiable. The OTAs wrap up tomorrow, June 4th, and then we've got mandatory minicamp from June 9th to 11th. Everyone's got to be there, no excuses. This is crucial because it's the last opportunity for players to bond, refine plays, build chemistry, and familiarize themselves with the schemes before the summer break. And then it's a long wait until training camp in late July. We've got preseason games against the Browns, Bengals, and Titans, which are vital opportunities for young talents to prove their worth and for the team to fine-tune its execution against real opponents. And then the final roster cut to 53 players on August 30th. The regular season, the moment of truth, begins on September 13th. So, yeah, it's a long road ahead, but moments like this, with Coach Johnson, just remind you that this team is locked in, focused, ready for battle. There's no room for distractions, no nonsense, just football. And that's exactly the mindset we want to see from our head coach. It's the mindset of a team that's ready to compete, to fight, and to win. And if that means a reporter has to silence their phone, so be it. Because in the NFL, every detail counts. And Ben Johnson knows that better than anyone. It's the difference between a good team and a championship team. All right, fam, and to close out the day, let's put an end to a saga that had many of us on the edge of our seats. A nearly story that, in the end, couldn't be. The Josh Sweat trade rumors. For weeks, the possibility of this Pro Bowler from the Arizona Cardinals coming to the Windy City was a hot topic, a recurring fantasy among Bears fans. And for good reason, because the need for an elite pass rusher to complement Montez Sweat is an absolute priority, a key piece our defense needs to reach its full potential. The story was clear and had all the ingredients of a good NFL drama. Josh Sweat, 29 years old, coming off a 12-sack season, was reportedly unhappy in Arizona. There was talk of his relationship with former head coach Jonathan Gannon, who is now with the Packers, the irony, and his desire for more guaranteed money. Reporters like Kyle Odegaard and Jordan Schultz had been reporting on his unhappiness and the trade calls the Cardinals were receiving. The idea of having two Sweats terrorizing opposing quarterbacks was a fantasy many of us were savoring. Think about it tactically. Two elite edge rushers, rotating, maintaining constant pressure, creating mismatches, forcing errors. It would be a nightmare for any offensive coordinator. But, as often happens in the NFL, dreams sometimes fade and reality sets in. Ian Rappaport, the NFL news guru, was the one who put an end to all the drama. On June 3rd, Rappaport tweeted, and I quote, "This has gained some steam on social media. So, just to provide some clarity, where AZ Cardinals edge rusher Josh Sweat is not being traded, not to the Packers or anywhere. Carry on." So there you have it, fam. The dream of Josh Sweat in Chicago is officially dead, buried. And to be honest, it's a bit disappointing, even frustrating. A player of his caliber, with his production and his age, would have been an immediate and significant upgrade for our defense. His 12 sacks last year are not something you easily find on the market, and his ability to generate constant pressure is invaluable. What leaves me wondering, and this is pure speculation and constructive criticism, is why the Bears were not mentioned even once as an interested team. Was it a conscious decision by Ryan Poles not to get involved in this situation, perhaps due to the draft capital cost or Sweat's contractual situation? Or did it just not get leaked to the media, which is possible with Poles, who is quite tight-lipped? My gut tells me Poles always explores all options to improve the team, especially on the defensive line, which is his specialty. But if there was no real interest, does it mean Poles already has a plan B or C in mind that he considers superior, or that he simply didn't see the value in the price the Cardinals were asking? It's a question that gnaws at me, because the opportunity to acquire proven talent like Sweat doesn't come around every day. The reality is that the need for a secondary elite pass rusher has not disappeared with this announcement. It remains a priority, a fundamental piece for our defense to consistently dominate. Now that Sweat is out of the equation, Poles will have to keep looking elsewhere. It could be through free agency, looking for productive veterans like Joey Bosa or Cameron Jordan, although neither of them has the same impact as Sweat in his prime. And both come with their own red flags, injuries for Bosa, age for Jordan. Or it could be through a trade for another player who hasn't yet surfaced in rumors like the one we just discussed with TJ Watt. It's a bummer, man, but that's the NFL. 1 minute you're dreaming of a Pro Bowler, the next you have to turn the page and look for the next opportunity. The good news is that Ryan Poles has proven to be a shrewd and patient GM. I trust he will find the right piece for our defense. It just won't be Josh Sweat. And that forces us to keep scrutinizing the market, to keep analyzing every rumor, because the pursuit of defensive excellence never ends. That's all I got for today, fam. What a day full of emotions, analysis, speculation, and pure passion for our Bears. From the seismic possibility of TJ Watt to the Bears, to Ben Johnson's unwavering intensity at Hollis Hall, and the definitive closure of the Josh Sweat saga. Look, it's never a dull moment with our Chicago Bears. The excitement of a potential Watt trade reminds us of this team's unlimited potential, the sky-high ceiling we have with Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson's passion and focus assure us that the winning culture is being forged day by day, brick by brick. And even though we won't have Sweat, Ryan Poles continues to work tirelessly, pulling the strings, looking for that missing piece to build a championship roster. We're building something special here in the Windy City, something that goes beyond a simple football team. It's a culture, a mentality, a promise, and every piece of the puzzle, from the players on the field to the coaching staff's mindset, is falling into place to make the Bears a dominant force. Bear down, always. If this video gave you something, if it made you think, if it excited you, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what do you think would happen if TJ Watt really came to the Bears? Would we be Super Bowl contenders immediately? Or would the cost be too high? I want to read every response, every argument, every championship dream. See you in the next one.